Many pets could fall into this category. But these are tips and things that I have learned along the way. It's just like people, and we want to do that because we want to make our sad pets happy. Just gently massage their ear, the vagus nerve. And this is another thing about trauma, or I'm really going to focus on, is holistic. Don't give up. I need some coffee. I'm the puppet. Hi there. This is the Animal Intuitive channel. And I just want to start off by saying I am not a veterinarian, so I'm going to talk about tonight. If you have any concerns about your pets, please make sure that you do consult always with your veterinarian. Tonight, we're going to talk about pets who maybe have gone through a trauma or are suffering from grief. And if you're not familiar with this channel, this is the Animal Intuitive channel. And here we give animals a voice through holistic pet care discussions, talking about animal communication. I'm a professional animal communicator and acupressure massage practitioner and energy worker. And we also talk about anything to do with advocacy for pets. So we have guests on as well. But these are tips and things that I have learned along the way that I want to share with you. And that's what this show is about, is helping animals. And we talk about a lot of things holistically, because we had a bunch of subscribers join us after I was on John Kelly's show, John Kelly Profiler. I want to thank him too for having me on. And this is sort of a carryover of that episode, because in that episode, we're talking about some things that happened in our country with, and actually also England, with some animals that witnessed crime, witnessed some terrible things. And we talked about that, but I want to expand upon that because I've been doing a little bit of a series on grief, but more so talking about it from the perspective of how to help people when they've lost a pet. But this is now going to talk about how you help pets when they're suffering from PTSD or grief. So, traumatized pets. Pets can suffer from PTSD. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, PTSD is defined as an anxiety disorder. It can develop after a terrifying event and an ordeal which grave physical harm occurred or was threatened. Traumatic events that may trigger PTSD, those include violent personal assaults, natural or human-caused disasters, accidents, or military combat. And studies have actually shown that dogs can have PTSD. I would take this information, we're going to apply it to other animals as well tonight. It's pretty evident that other pets and animals can have these situations too. So it's been estimated that about 5% of 650 million military dogs suffer from PTSD, and we can imagine why. And also search and rescue canines who have been in situations where they're looking for people who've been harmed in disasters, who are no longer alive in disasters, they might have PTSD. But civilian animals can also have PTSD. In a lot of different circumstances that can happen. So it can happen when an animal has been abused, an animal perhaps has been through a natural disaster. So many pets can fall into this category. Cats as well. So it could be being abused, being abandoned. Maybe they're even like left in the woods or, left to be on their own. So signs that an animal is suffering from PTSD could be eliminating randomly out of fear, anxiety, vocalization. So just remember talking, sort of whimpering, barking, destruction, also sudden or intense responses to things like thunderstorms or other noises, and trying to get away. So animal behaviors traditionally kind of stay away from attributing human emotions such as grief to animals. But actually there's a growing body of evidence that is beginning to really make it clear that many species suffer from not only PTSD, but also grief. We have seen studies where they're showing animals who have relatives and close companions that they are mourning. And these displays of grief really are just very similar to what humans experience in many ways. So I'm going to talk more about how we can help them. This first part, I'm just talking about sort of giving you some ideas about things that can be done, but I'm also going to do a little demonstration of something that I think can really help your pets if they're anxious or suffering from PTSD or grief, and just actually in general to help them. Holistic things that can be done to help pets with PTSD. So acupressure, massage, Tellington tea touch. We had Linda Tellington Jones on here a long time ago. I have a playlist. You can always find these things. You can find acupressure massage demonstrations on here as well. Things like essential oils, CBDs, pheromones, other holistic modalities such as homeopathy, herbs, nutraceuticals such as L-theanine, melatonin. Those have been proven to be helpful in treating PTSD. Laser, biologically appropriate diets, medicinal mushrooms, and certain types of training. I'm a fan of holistic, but there's also prescription medications that are sometimes used. The vagus nerve. So I want to talk about that first. So vagus nerve stimulation is something that has been practiced for a very long time. So I think about it in relationship to massage and acupressure first. And maybe it wasn't called vagus nerve stimulation, but when acupressure and acupuncture and all of those sorts of modalities came about thousands of years ago, vagus nerve is something that has been shown to relax a pet or a person in response to the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing fight or flight stress responses driven by the sympathetic nervous system. The vagus nerve impacts regulation of swallowing, vocalization, breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, digestion, immune responses, microbiome of intestines, mood, anxiety level, digestion, sleep, how well people and pets recover from illness, accident, stroke, brain injury, and strong vagal tone can improve overall health, physical stability, emotional balance, flexibility, adaptability, recovery and regeneration after shock and trauma, and our ability to connect and engage with others. It is the 10th cranial nerve and the longest nerve in the body. And the word vagus is Latin for wandering. And you can see how it goes all the way down. You can see it drops down into the digestive tract. So it passes along a lot of parts of the body. The ear is a really great place to access the vagus nerve. Now we're going to have a model tonight, and many of you are familiar with our model, Giovanna. Now Giovanna is an example of an animal who has had some trauma and can benefit from stimulation of the vagus nerve. She's a big girl, and she doesn't always like to be held. So that's part of her trauma too, because she was in shelters. So this is actually very simple. It's basically massaging the ear. And if you don't get this exactly, just gently massage their ear. The vagus nerve it emerges from the top of the brain stem, and after leaving the skull, enters the upper neck, and then goes behind the ear. So it passes behind the ear. So we want to massage her behind the ear, gently, not too hard, but we come up along behind. And then it's also nice to go along the front, pressing very gently the flap of the ear, but never go down into the ear canal. Just massage their ear nicely. I mean, you don't want to push. And they have used the vagus nerve stimulation device for dogs with drug-resistant epilepsy, and 87% reduction in tonic-clonic seizures in dogs where they have used it. So this is a quote from a very well-known veterinarian, Marty Becker. He just talks about how important it is and massaging it. And so I really encourage you to do that too. Strong vagal tone, as they call it, which can be helped by doing massage. And this is another thing about trauma and grief and pets. It's just like people, where it doesn't necessarily just heal overnight. We can be doing everything under the sun to help them, but we have to be really mindful that sometimes it's a process of going forward, and then sometimes you even take a few steps back and then you have to go forward again. So don't give up just because things don't change overnight. Take care, everybody, and God bless.
Rub my belly, rub my belly, rub my belly, my belly.